What is going on, everybody? Gamers Goon here today to break down the position battles in this week's big game between Oregon and Penn State. I would like to start off this video with a special shout out to my guy Cam, who helped me come up with the title of this video. And you can check him out on Substack. All of his links are linked to his Substack at CM Says Stuff, and a link to his Substack will be in the description below. But let's get into this Oregon game against Penn State. Wide out environment. Put Oregon's QB versus Penn State's QB. I know Oregon's got the QB depth, but at the end of the day, this game's coming down to Dante Moore and Drew Aller. You're not predicting injuries. Nobody else is going to be a factor. So far this season, Dante Moore has the edge. He's come into this game with an offensive PFF rating of 89.3 through the first 4 games and a passing rating of 87.6. Drew Aller is coming into this game a little bit more on the struggle bus side of things, with a 68.6 offensive PFF rating and a 68.0 passing rating according to PFF. It's important to note, though, that neither team has really truly been tested. Oregon more so than Penn State, with maybe Oregon State and Northwestern sprinkled in there, and Oklahoma State, who Gundy just got fired. But neither team's really been all that tested. Oregon's been handling their opponents pretty easily, and Penn State more so is looking like maybe they're saving some stuff for this Oregon game and maybe later on with the Ohio State game as well. I don't think Penn State's really shown their cards. The one place right now that I can say Drew Aller has a clear advantage over Dante Moore is experience. He comes into this contest with 32 career starts in his career at Penn State, where Dante Moore has 10 starts in his career, and this is his 5th at Oregon. 5 at UCLA, 5 at Oregon. Both quarterbacks starting to gain some NFL buzz as well. Drew Aller, for about a year or so now, has kind of been talked about as a potential first-round draft pick there out of Penn State. Dante wasn't really talked about as that, but he's starting to gain some buzz, some first-round talks. Seen him mocked in some top first-round, like top 15s now. I saw a C.J. Stroud comparison out of Dante Moore as well, so he's gaining buzz quickly. But at the end of the day, this position battle is going to come down to who can deliver at the big moment, at the big time, who makes the big play. I gotta lean Drew Aller. He's been there, done that, right? I mean, came up short against Oregon in the Big Ten championship last year, but yes, he threw a couple interceptions in that game, but for the most part, he played pretty well in that game. Dante Moore, I'm not saying he hasn't played well. I'm saying this is the biggest game of Dante Moore's career. UCLA, nah. Oregon, wide out environment, the loudest crowd he's probably going to see. It's a big moment. It's a big moment, and you'll really know early on if Dante Moore can handle it. But I gotta go advantage Penn State at the QB position battle, simply because Aller has more experience. Not to say Dante Moore can't keep up. Don't be shocked if Dante Moore wins the battle of the QBs on Saturday. But right now, you got to lean towards Penn State. My bias of Oregon aside, got to lean Penn State. So there you go. Penn State, you got one. You got one over my Oregon Ducks. Next, we get to the running back battle. This is an interesting battle. It really is. Because, obviously, two-headed monster at Penn State, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, both probably like the Ohio State guys, right? They're probably gone in the first 2 rounds next year. But then you look at Oregon, they just have so many. They have so many. Right now, Jaden Lamar has been leading carrier for the Ducks, but that's because Noah Whittington hasn't been healthy the last 2 games. Lamar, though, has 13 more carries than the next highest, which is Jordan Davison. But you got to think, Noah missed a couple games. So he had that injury. It's been kind of reported that he was good to go. They were just kind of holding him back. So you think he's going to play in this game. But they held him out, so his numbers aren't great right now. But I think Oregon is going to try to establish the run game. I really do. They're going to come at you with Noah Whittington. His kind of breakaway speed early in games has been a big factor as to why they've been able to start the run game. Obviously, seeing him in the Oklahoma State picture that I have up, kind of busted one out early. Jaden Lamar, kind of the do-it-all kind of back there at Oregon. Deer Hill kind of has been the gadget running back, the breakaway speed guy, very, very fast. You have Jordan Davison, who's kind of the short yardage back there. Mekhi Hughes, who hasn't really gotten going from Tulane, had a better week last week. You had a physical run in Jay Harris. Oregon will deploy all of them. They will deploy all of them, and they have deployed all of them at certain points this year. Oregon has a deep, 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 deep room, but here's the problem. Here's the problem about that deep room. You're going up against Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, two of the top 10 running backs in the country. So Oregon has 7 running backs that have carried the ball 10 or more times. Penn State, they only got the 2. The true question here in this position battle is, do you value quantity or quality? And not to say Oregon's quantity isn't quality, right? You look at the freshmen, Deer Hill and Jordan Davison, both of those guys project to be really, really good. They're really, really good right now, but they are not on Nick Singleton and Katron Allen's levels just yet. Noah Whittington has been really good as a veteran of the group. Mekhi Hughes, obviously coming out of Tulane, has been really good. We haven't really seen the flashes that we've hoped for just yet of him. Maybe he's saving them for this game, and maybe Oregon has kind of been holding him in their back pocket. And then you got the physical runner in Jay Harris and Jay Lamar, who will do a little bit of everything as well. They got a lot of good running backs on Oregon. But Penn State, it's hard for me to tell you that the advantage isn't Penn State when they got Katron and Nick Singleton. That's like Quinshawn last year with Travion Henderson, right? Like, you can have 5, 10 running backs that are good. Like Oregon, they have 7 that are good. But Penn State's got 2 top 10 guys. Penn State's a different beast right now. I got to go advantage Penn State in the running back battle. As much as it pains me to say, yeah, that's 2-0 Penn State. That's 2-0 Penn State. Not happy to say it, but it's 2-0 Penn State. Next, we get to the receiver rooms, and both receiver rooms are revamped this year. Big emphasis for Penn State was going out and getting some receivers. Kyron Hudson, career 800 yards plus, and then they went out and got the Syracuse kid, Trevor Pena, who also has 1,400 career yards. Both guys, they're best receivers. Those are their clear number ones. Like, there's a significant drop-off. Obviously, last year, Tyler Warren, led the charge. They're kind of looking for that right now. We'll talk about that when we get to the tight ends. But outside of the 2, Kyron Hudson and Trevor Pena, Devontae Ross is up there as the next highest. He only has 5 receptions through 3 games, not heavily targeted. So very limited receiver room at Penn State, even though they have got some guys they can throw it to now. Just a very limited room. Oregon, a lot less limited. Like the running back room, Oregon's got great depth in it. They have 5 receivers over the 5-catch mark, one of which is Cooper Perry. Cooper Perry's one of the true freshmen. Probably not going to play in this game. So you got 4 guys at least in this game that are ahead of Devontae Ross right now. And then Cooper Perry, who's probably not going to play, is also ahead of at least at Devontae Ross's catches and targets and everything, right? Loaded with talent. But Penn State, defensively, these are the names you got to watch out for. Malik Benson, speedy receiver, kind of somebody that's been looked at in his college career as somebody that's never met his true potential. So far, has been one of, if not Dante Moore's top options. Leads the team in receptions. I think he leads it in yards, and I think him and DeCorian are tied in targets. But we were kind of seeing with this Oregon receiver room heading into the season, you knew DeCorian was going to be good, but you're kind of looking to who might take that step to be that next guy. It might be hard to say. Malik Benson, at this point, is the guy in that receiver room. That's not to throw shade at DeCorian, but Malik Benson has been really, really impressive. As of right now, he is the number one receiver for Oregon. Then you have true freshman sensation DeCorian Moore, who, I'm going to be honest, when it's all said and done, might be the most talented player on this Oregon roster. There's a couple of the freshmen right now that I'm looking at like, these guys are going to be day one NFL picks. DeCorian Moore is one of them. He has looked absolutely amazing. You got veteran leader Gary Bryant, another guy that's got a lot of college experience. He himself has been just sure-handed. The guy, I mean, I thought coming into the year he was going to be the number 2 probably to DeCorian Moore. He's been the number 3, and when you got a guy like Gary Bryant as your number 3, guy that coaching staff hypes up as, he's the guy we know we can trust. He does everything right. He comes in, he works hard, does all these things, plays well, blocks, does all this stuff. When that's your number 3, it's a pretty good number 3. And I think that number 3 is better than maybe the number 1s on Penn State. And that's before we even get to the last Oregon receiver that's been fairly prevalent so far this season. Coming off a touchdown from last week, Jeremiah McClellan. Jeremiah McClellan, he is a guy that flipped from Ohio State to Oregon. It's in his second college football year. But this has been his year of where he's starting to actually get some significant playing time, and he's so far delivered. Highly touted recruit. I think he was a 4-star. He might have been a 5-star on some sites, but I think he was a 4-star. But Jeremiah McClellan really starting to show up and show out for Oregon. So you have the depth. You have the talent. They got 4 and 5 stars sitting the bench at receiver that even if guys go down, they could throw Kyler Casper, they could throw Justice Lowe. They have a bunch of guys that Kyler Casper not so much, as he's kind of been plagued with injury over the course of his career, but Justice Lowe, another guy that comes in and has had a role in the past. I haven't seen much of him this year, which is kind of shocking to me, but somebody that, I'm going to be honest, probably is better than some of the guys that Penn State's going to be starting. So the receiver battle completely all the way Oregon, depth-wise, star-wise. DeCorian Moore, probably the most talented player. Malik Benson, probably the most. So when I say like the most useful receiver, that's kind of like, I don't know how to put it. Like Illinois last year, Zachary Franklin, really good receiver. Maybe not as talented as Pat Bryant, but a guy that you knew you could trust and could be a number 1 on any given day. That's kind of DeCorian, but DeCorian's Pat Bryant rather than Zachary. But Malik Benson, really, really good. Don't know that he's the most talented in the room, but very, very good. Next, we get to the tight end battle. Another battle that really favors Oregon, in my opinion. Kenyon Sadiq, I had to put the picture of him hurdling Penn State last time out. Had to do it. But last year, this battle would have been Penn State's, right? Like Tyler Warren, there's not very many tight end rooms in the country that could even compete with Tyler Warren. The Bears drafted Colston Loveland, so maybe the Michigan Wolverines there, but there's not very many guys that can match up with Tyler Warren. Kenyon Sadiq is this year's Tyler Warren. Not necessarily Tyler Warren, right? But like one of the top tight ends in the country, might be the top tight end in the country right now. Easy battle here for Oregon. You have Jamari Johnson, you have Roger Saliapaga, and both of those guys I think are similar to the caliber of tight end that Penn State's currently throwing out there. Luke Reynolds, one of their guys there, kind of been their lead option. I think you could put either Jamari Johnson or Roger Saliapaga there, and they could do similar things to what Luke Reynolds has done so far this season. Hasn't been super impressive there. They have another tight end there that I didn't even bother mentioning, more so blocking focus. But all of Oregon's receivers tight ends block and catch, right? So this is an easy battle Oregon's way. Just not much there for Penn State to even have a chance, really. They're still looking for that Tyler Warren replacement, and so far, they haven't found it. Next, we get to the offensive line. 2-2, by the way, reminder. 2-2. The offensive line battle is interesting because I really do think these are two good offensive lines. strength for both of the teams. Oregon's walking in boasting one of the best offensive lines in the country with some high draft picks on their side. Isaiah World, potential first-round pick in some NFL circles. Alex Harkey, kind of the guy that hasn't been getting any buzz, but might arguably be the better tackle at the moment than Isaiah World. He's played really good football. Then you have Emmanuel Prignon, who's probably going to hear his name called in the draft, probably in one of those middle rounds. You got kind of, not necessarily the weak point of this Oregon offensive line, but the only guy in this offensive line that's, at this point, still probably not a pro, might eventually work his way into one, is Dave Iuli at guard. That's kind of, a really good guard, right? Like, kind of like Marcus Harper last year. Good, not necessarily that next level. And then you got the man in the middle who I believe to be the best center in the country, Poncho. Poncho's the guy you're looking at right now for Oregon. And Poncho is my guy. Shout out to him. Very, very good center. Probably a Remington Award winner. Oregon's offensive line, plain and cut, there's one of their biggest strengths. But Penn State, guess what? Their strength is also offensive line. They are headlined by some early round selections in Drew Shelton and, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher his name. I'm just going to call him Ola Loane. Sorry if I mispronounced it. But those are two guys that have had some, Ola more so, some first round buzz. Drew Shelton, kind of that second round, third round-ish. Maybe he'll slide into the first round. We don't really know. Tackle is kind of a weird position to project in the draft because guys skyrocket. But they got those two guys that are probably going early. They got some likely guys that are drafted, kind of like Prignon, and Nolan Rucci and Nick Dawkins. They also have another guy who I think is a redshirt sophomore, in Anthony Donko, who all start for him. Going to be interesting to see the offensive line battle. I think it's going to be a battle won in the trenches. It's going to be a battle that, in last year, I think Penn State dominated Oregon in the run back. I think they put up 300 rushing. It was ridiculous. Penn State, their offensive line's really, really good. It's really, really good. But here, I got to lean with Oregon. I think Alex Harkey doesn't get talked up enough. I think he is a guy that can play on Sundays, and he's not getting hyped up as a draft prospect. I think Dave Iuli is a guy that is a really good college starter. I think you got the premier center in the country with Poncho. I think you got one of the best tackles in the country in Isaiah World, and the guy opposite of him might be playing better than him, and he's not even getting talked about as one of the best tackles in the country. I just think that this Oregon offensive line is really, really talented. It's going to be one of the top 3 offensive lines in the country when it's all said and done. Penn State's up there. Don't know if they're the number, in that range, maybe top 10. I'm leading Oregon here. It's pretty easy for me. I think Poncho's the best offensive lineman in this game. I know he's probably not going to be drafted as such, but he's the best offensive lineman in this game. Great leader, very physical, guy that holds it down in the middle. Just somebody that really has became the focal point of the Oregon offensive line. Somebody that just always does everything right in the blocking scheme. So we're gonna take Oregon here in the offensive line battle. So my Oregon Ducks, they're up 3-2 now. They're up 3-2. So we got to go to the other side of the trenches. This is gonna be a good. This matchup is star-studded. It is almost as a jump ball as you can get. All these guys probably playing on Sundays. Danny Dennis-Sutton, Zane Durant, Mateo Ungale, Amari Washington. All those guys probably early Sunday picks. Early draft picks in the draft. Probably this upcoming year. Amari Washington, maybe not. Maybe he stays another year. I don't know, but he could go early this year. Not to say the rest of the defensive lines aren't talented. There's a bunch of names we can continue to throw out. Bear Alexander, some guys on Penn State. It doesn't matter. Those guys don't matter to me. They matter. They're going to have an impact. But I think this game is won between those 4 players. And this battle specifically, you can trade names up and down the depth chart. These are really 2 really close defensive lines. They really are. They're going to win you games. You got good guys that can go get you sacks, and Mateo and Denny Sutton. You got two great interior defenders. To me, this comes down to everything's really a wash between everything unless Mateo and Danny Dennis Sutton. That's kind of what it came down to for me. Two guys here that are going to be early draft picks. And right now I have to go with a Mateo Ungale over Danny Dennis Sutton. That's simple. Mateo is the guy that had the Big Ten sack record last year. Mateo's the guy that has been talked about as a first-round pick. Sutton, he's getting there. Second round might be a first round. But I think Mateo's just better. I think Mateo is slightly better. But I think really Oregon has to take the advantage because they have the best defensive lineman in this game in Mateo. And it's like picking hairs between these two defensive lines. I mean, there's really no separating point between this. And this could be a jump ball. Penn State could win one day. Oregon could win the next. These are two strengths, like I said with the offensive line. Two strengths for the teams. I'm leaning Mateo because might be a little bit of bias there, but these defensive lines, they could go head-to-head with each other 10 times out of 10. I think both teams win 5, right? Like, really good defensive lines. Next, we get to the linebacker room, and this one's a little bit easier for me to kind of pick. And that's because Penn State, they have some good linebackers. Tony Rojas, Amari Campbell, probably going to the draft. Dominic Galuka, kind of their Bryce Betcher, right? Walk-on turned crucial player for them. Oregon, they got some guys. Tatum Tuioti, Devin Jackson, who hasn't really got going this year, but very fast, one of the fastest linebackers in the country. You'd expect him to show up here. He's flashed before, hasn't flashed this year just yet. You got Bryce Betcher, one of the best returning players in the country. And then you got the guy that really has bursted onto the scene this year, and Jerry Mixon. And I think Jerry Mixon gives Oregon the edge here. Jerry Mixon has been a guy that defenses need to start paying attention to. He's been able to pick off a couple times. Very good leader there. I think him and Bryce Betcher have done a lot of work together because Jerry Mixon, like, he's one of the smartest players on this football team. He baits guys into making bad throws. He's had a few that he's even get away from him. He plays linebacker position like a corner, but he plays it at such a high level. And this is a guy that played running back in high school. It's the cousin of Joe Mixon, by the way. Jerry Mixon, I can't rave enough about him. I think of him as a guy that in a year or two, you could be talking about him being a first-round linebacker. Not very many first-round linebackers these days, but Jerry Mixon has a lot of talent. That he's just starting to flash. And it's been consistent. It hasn't been it's one game. Jerry Mixon's shown it the last couple games. So far this year, he's been probably Oregon's best linebacker. And if it wasn't for Jerry Mixon's breakout, I think I would probably be going with a closer battle. But Jerry Mixon, to me, is the best linebacker on the field. I think Bryce Betcher is the second best linebacker on the field. I think you could probably throw in the 3 Penn State guys, then maybe Tatum's in there in between them somewhere. Either way, Oregon's got the 2 best linebackers in this game. They've got the 2 best linebackers in this game, and I think Jerry Mixon is on path to be one of the best linebackers in the country if he can stay healthy. Oregon, they have an advantage here because of how great Jerry Mixon's been. It would have been interesting if Jerry Mixon hasn't been as good as he's been since the start of the season, because he was somebody that we're kind of looking at, can he take a step? He's taken the step. It would have been maybe Bryce Betcher. And if we did this video week 1, it'd be maybe Bryce Betcher is the best on this field. Then you got a couple of the Penn State guys. Amari Campbell and Tony Rojas are really good linebackers. They're really good linebackers. But the way that Jerry Mixon's been playing, and then you look at Bryce Betcher, kind of everything that he does for this Oregon team, the 2 best linebackers are on Oregon's side. That's the end of the story. And then you can pick hairs the rest of the way. You like Amari Campbell. I would probably put I'd probably put Tatum Tuioti ahead of Dominic DeLuca, but Dominic DeLuca's good too, so it's not like that's insulting. But either way, Oregon has the advantage. They had the two best linebackers on the field on Saturday, so we got to go advantage Oregon. Shout out Jerry Mixon. Next, we get to the defensive back room, and this is one that is really interesting because of the youth on Oregon's side. The best corner in this game is A.J. Harris, the guy for Penn State that's pictured. Is he the best defensive back in this game? Dylan Thieneman might have something to say, but Oregon, kind of interesting here because a lot of players that kind of lack experience. The two players with the most experience in the DB room, other than Dylan Thieneman, is Jaden Kennedy and Teron Johnson. Both guys that have big roles to play if they get in the game. Probably see Jaden Kennedy in at nickel. I don't know if Teron Johnson's going to be healthy to play. He's kind of been on and off injured. But they're not the best corners that Oregon's got. Oregon's premier corners so far this year have been Ife Odubegwu, Brandon Finney. Hey, Penn State, guess what? Y'all missed out on Brandon Finney. He's really good. Penn State almost had him. And then Naeem Offord and Dalen Austin. Sione Lalea you could probably throw in there with that group of Naeem Offord, Dalen Austin, and Sione Lalea. It kind of switches in between those guys. They've all flashed. Probably Dalen Austin, the one more likely to play in this game. Very young. That's the point of me bringing up all those guys. Ife O hasn't played much. It was on the team last year, didn't play much. Brandon Finney is a true freshman. Naeem Offord's a true freshman. Dalen Austin hasn't played much. Sione Lalea hasn't played much. Oregon's DB room, yes, it's been really good against bad competition. This is their biggest test. And the receiver room in Penn State's nothing to write home about. They're decent. They're not great. This is going to be the biggest environment for any of those corners. Can you trust them in a wideout environment? That's the big question. Luckily, Oregon do have Dylan Thieneman, though. Best safety in the country, possibly. Him and maybe Caleb Downs, right? Caleb Downs probably ahead of him. But questions start to arise on the other side of the safety room. You got Aaron Flowers, Kingston Lope, and Peyton Woodyard. They've all flashed at points this season. I think Aaron Flowers, the one probably going to get the most snaps out of anybody. But this secondary right here, this is their biggest game. It's been a struggle in the past, stopping the Jeremiah Smiths, and really it's going to be, this is the kind of game that we recruited for, right? Naeem Offord, Brandon Finney, all these long guys to have outside on the edge and be able to put on islands and see what they can do. This is the kind of game you need them for, these big games. The pass has hurt you before. Obviously, I think you've done a better job of defending the run by developing Amari Washington and some of the defensive linemen in there, and then the linebackers as well. But you can, in past years, Oregon's been able to be beaten with their corners. They got guys in there that they hope can do it. I don't know if I can trust them, though. It's their first big game. What will they do in a whiteout environment? But then you got Penn State. Like I said, A.J. Harris is probably the best player on the field at the corner position. Thieneman I would take over A.J. Harris, but out of corners, A.J. Harris probably the best one on the field. And they might have number 2 and 3 come Saturday as well. It depends on how much you get out of the freshman and Ife. Ifeo's a redshirt freshman, I think. Maybe he's a true sophomore. I don't think he burned it. I think he redshirted. But you got King Mack and Elliott Washington. Experienced players at Penn State. Oregon, don't be shocked they win. They can go star for star, right? 5-star here, 5-star there, right? Oregon have the pure talent to do it, but this is the biggest game they played. Biggest game that these Oregon teams played. Whiteout in Happy Valley. I'm hoping to see these corners show up, but it's not the end of the world if they don't, right? We'll still make the playoffs if we only lose one game. But this is a clear advantage for Penn State. clear advantage. They got the experience. This is another one, right? Like the running back room wasn't, but it was more so the quarterback room, right? That we were like, the experience is really what gives them the advantage here. The DB room gives them their experience, and the DB room gives them experience, or the edge here over Oregon. Oregon, they got talent that can do it, but does Brandon Finney play this as well as he's played this whole season against Penn State? Does Naeem Offord step up? Does Ifio step up? Who is going to separate themselves in the big game? We don't know that answer yet. Maybe Brandon Finney comes in and dominates, right? Brandon Finney was actually the second best corner we got. Naeem Offord was supposed to be the best. Not to throw shade at Naeem Offord, but that shows you how good Brandon Finney is, and shows you why Penn State wanted him. Brandon Finney's been one of the best freshman corners in the country. He's a guy that's kind of undeniable to play because he's one of our, if not our best corner. Him and Ifio, I just don't know how much you can trust him and Ifio in their first like major test here against Penn State. So we gotta lean Penn State. Experience factor, guys that have been proven. AJ Harris, probably the best corner on the field. Then you gotta remember, the game is not just decided by the players. The Ohio State game showed us that last year. Sometimes, just sometimes, the coaches play a little bit into it. Needs to be not one just on the field, but sometimes you got to outthink the others. And last year, we saw it with Dan Lanning putting 12 men on the field. Gave his team a slight advantage to help them take control of the game. Now, neither Penn State or Oregon have won the big one, right? Dan Lanning and James Franklin neither have won the big one. But they did play each other in the Big Ten Championship, and Oregon did win that one. And when you look at James Franklin, he's kind of struggled in the big games. Kind of struggled in them. Dan Lanning, he's had his struggles in the big games. Look at Washington, his first couple of years, and look at Ohio State, right? He didn't struggle. They didn't look great in that Penn State game defensively, but they won. Oregon won. They took the Big Ten in their first year. But James Franklin, coaching a top 10 team, one of the most experienced teams in the country, you got to give him credit. But when push comes to shove, if there was one coach in the country that I need to give me a slight advantage, whether that's an extra 5 yards here or a delay of game, maybe to take some more time off the clock or whatever, just the guy that I think can outsmart anybody is that guy up in Eugene, Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning, in my opinion, is not one of the top Big Ten coaches. He's not one of the top future NFL candidates or top SEC candidates or top Alabama coach candidate or Georgia candidate or any of that. He might be the top coach in the country. He's got to win it to prove it. Right now, without winning it, he's probably top 5. He's probably in the top 5. And he hasn't won it. Wait till he wins it. Like I said, it's kind of bold to say somebody's in the top 5 for somebody who hasn't won the national championship. But if there's a first-time national championship winning head coach this season, Dan Lanning's got a good shot. James Franklin, you got the experience, you got the talent, you got the team to do it. Prove it. Win your big game. White out. Win it. Do it for your fans. But at the end of the day, Dan Lanning, I think, gives Oregon the advantage here. Now, where is this game decided? It could be a number of different places. Is it decided in the trenches? Sometimes it is. Last year it wasn't. Is it decided with a coaching advantage here? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. At the end of the day, I just know one thing. The biggest game on Saturday, whiteout, Penn State, Happy Valley. If you're not on your couch watching it, you're doing it wrong. This is going to be one of the best games of the season. This might be the best game of the season. This game right here is going to determine both of these teams' championship aspirations. Oregon wins, you're like, wow, they can win the big one, or they can win a big game with all their young, talented players. Hey, we need to really look at Oregon as being the number one team in the country. You can look at Penn State the same way. Penn State wins this game. Oh, they beat Oregon, and Oregon's been running through teams. Whoever wins this game, I think, has a really good chance. A really, really good chance to win a national championship. They might not win it, but they are sure going to make it difficult for other teams. We'll see what happens on Saturday, but this is going to be a really good game. We'll see you tomorrow for the game. I'll probably come on afterwards, and if I had to guess, probably be upset at Oregon. I want Oregon to win. I'm rooting for them. Obviously, that's my alma mater. I got a sneaking suspicion the whiteout environment favors Penn State. Oregon might be wearing white to the game. They are, but I don't know that's going to give them as big of an advantage as people might think. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Make sure to check out my boy Cam, who, like I said, helped me out with the title of this video. So make sure to check him out in the link in the description below. Thank you for watching.